Welcome to Mia Horror Stories. To make it easier on your eyes, this video plays against a black screen, so you can close your eyes, get comfortable, and let the story take over. But don't relax too much, the ending might just catch you off guard. Stay with me until the very last word. The first time it happened, it was so small I almost talked myself out of seeing it. I'd just come back upstairs with a bowl of cereal and my phone in my teeth because the Bluetooth in the kitchen never reaches the office. The house was doing its usual early evening noises, radiator ticking like someone tapping a spoon against glass, the soft thunk of my neighbor's front door across the narrow street, a gull somewhere over the river letting out that stupid laughing cry. My laptop was open on the desk where I'd left it. The security app was still up because I'd been obsessively checking it all week, even though nothing ever happens in this neighborhood. Old habit, old anxiety. There was a red dot on the front door camera timeline. Motion detected, 6:41 p.m. That wasn't the weird part. The wind sets it off. A cat sets it off. A delivery guy sets it off if he breathes in the wrong direction. The weird part was that at 6:41 p.m., I was in the kitchen, barefoot, watching water boil, because I'm the kind of person who watches water boil when I'm already running late. I clicked. Video loaded with that slight delay that always makes me feel like I'm watching the past through a dirty window. The image was crisp, one of the reasons I paid too much for the system. The porch light made a clean cone in the dusk. The front steps looked exactly like they always did. 2 concrete slabs with a hairline crack at the corner. 1 crooked planter of dead lavender I kept forgetting to replace. My bike lock looped around the railing like a sad bracelet. And then I saw me. Not a blur, not a shape. Me. Same dark green hoodie I was wearing right now. Same jeans with the frayed knee. Same slouchy way I carried my shoulders like they were tired of holding me upright. The figure on the screen came down the hall inside, and the front door opened inward. My face turned slightly toward the camera, as if I'd heard something outside. The porch light hit my cheekbone and the edge of my nose. Even on a grainy security feed, I can recognize my own face. I watched me step out, close the door, and start down the steps. The sound came through faintly, my door's latch clicking, the hinge giving its familiar little squeal I keep meaning to oil. A car passed somewhere at the end of the street, tires hissing on damp pavement. The me in the video paused at the bottom step, patted pockets as if searching for keys, and then walked out of frame to the left, toward the corner. The video ended. I sat there with the spoon halfway to my mouth. The cereal had gone soft enough that the milk tasted like paper. I felt that prickly heat behind my ears that comes when something doesn't fit, and your brain starts trying to sand it down until it does. Okay, I said out loud to nobody. Okay, that's fine, because it could be explainable. It had to be a glitch, a timestamp error, a cached clip from another day that the app was reassigning to the wrong time. It happens. Software is brittle. Cameras hiccup. Cloud systems mix things up. My first move was idiot simple. I checked the clock on my laptop, then the clock on my phone. 6:52. I scrubbed back through the earlier timeline. There I was at 6:09 bringing in a package accurate. I remembered cursing at the wet cardboard. At 6:22, the neighbor's kid on a scooter streaked past, also accurate. The scooter had that loose wheel that made a dry rattling sound like a coffee can full of bolts. At 6:40, 6:41, me leaving. I clicked the download clip option and saved it, because some part of me always plans for the moment when someone won't believe me. Then I opened the back door camera. Nothing. No motion. No opening. Just a dim rectangle of yard and the trash bins pressed against the fence. I checked the living room camera, the one pointing at the entryway and stairs. It should have caught me going downstairs at 6:41. The living room timeline showed motion at 6:38, a shadow moving across the rug as if I'd passed the doorway. But the clip itself didn't match. In the living room feed at 6:38, the stairwell was empty. The coat rack leaned the way it always did, slightly off level. The corner of my mail pile on the console table was unmoved. No one came down. No one crossed. A quiet house held still, like someone had pressed pause. I swallowed, and the cereal scraped my throat. I didn't realize I'd been holding my breath until I let it go, and it came out as a short laugh. "I'm losing it," I said, and the words sounded too casual for the way my fingers were trembling around the spoon. My phone buzzed, Maya calling. I considered ignoring it because I didn't want to hear my own voice try to explain this, but my thumb moved anyway. "What's up?" I said. "You're home?" she asked immediately, no greeting, just that practical tone she gets when she's trying not to panic. "Yeah." Why, there was a pause long enough that I could hear traffic behind her, the muted roar of a city street, and someone's music leaking out tinny and too loud. She started, then stopped like she'd bitten her tongue. "I'm down the block. I thought I saw you. You're down the block from my house." "I'm on," she exhaled. "I was driving past, okay? Don't do that thing where you get weird about it. I was going to swing by because I'm in the neighborhood, and I saw someone in your hoodie." My hand went cold around the phone. "Maya, what? Did you see their face?" Another pause. Her voice dropped. "No, they were turned away. It was quick. They went around the corner by the coffee shop." The spoon clinked loudly against the bowl when I set it down, the sound too sharp in the small room. "Maya," I said, keeping my voice level by force, "I haven't left the house." She didn't answer right away. The sound of her car's turn signal clicked steadily in my ear. Then, "Okay." "Okay what?" "Okay. I believe you." She said it like she was choosing her words carefully, which meant she didn't fully believe me but didn't want to say it. "I'm serious. I'm not arguing. She took a breath. "Do you want me to come over? Like, right now?" In my head, I replayed the clip of the front door camera. The way I had patted my pockets at the bottom step. The same habit I have when I'm checking for keys and wallet. The same tiny unconscious gesture. That detail made it worse, not better. Anyone could wear a green hoodie. Not everyone pats their left pocket twice before stepping off. The radiator ticked again. Somewhere inside the wall, plumbing gave a low groan like a throat clearing. The normal noises were suddenly too loud, like my senses had turned up the volume. "I don't know," I said honestly. "I don't know what I want." "You want me there," Maya said. "You always want backup, and you hate asking for it." That was the thing she knew about me. I can handle a lot until I can't, and then I don't want anyone to see the moment I tip. I'd spent years training myself to look calm, to look competent, to look like someone who didn't get spooked by his own shadow. It was a point of pride. It was also, if I'm being fair, a weakness. "My camera says I left," I said, because it felt safer to say that than someone who looks like me walked out of my house. Silence. Then she said, softer, "What do you mean, your camera says you left?" I turned the laptop so I could see the front door feed again, as if looking at it would make it less real. Motion clip, I said. 641. It's me, send it. I did, I saved it. No, send it to me. I fumbled the file into a message and hit send. There was a moment of lag, and then the delivered checkmark appeared. On the phone, I heard her inhale as she watched. Okay, she said slowly. Okay, that's you. I know. Her turn signal stopped. A moment later, I heard the faint rise and fall of her breathing. Is the clip time wrong? Could it be yesterday? No, I was in the kitchen at 6:41. I remember because the kettle was. I stopped. My brain was trying to build a strong case out of flimsy materials. It doesn't matter, Maya, I didn't go out. Do you have anyone else's access? She asked. Like, if someone has your login. No. Could someone have copied your key? My eyes went to the little hook by my desk where my keys hung. They were still there. 3 keys and a chipped plastic fob for the back gate. I walked over, touched them. Cold metal, solid, real. I don't know, I said. There was another sound in the house then, subtle, but it pulled my attention the way a dog's ears flick to a distant noise. Not from the radiator, not the plumbing. A faint creak from downstairs, like a floorboard taking weight. I stood still, keys in my hand. The house settled. The creak didn't repeat. Maya, I said quietly, and she must have heard the change in my tone. What is it? I swallowed. I think there was a noise. Are you alone? Yes. Lock your office door, she said immediately. My office didn't have a lock. None of the upstairs doors did. Old house, old hardware, charming until it's not. I can't, I said. Another tiny sound, closer this time. A soft, almost careful tap somewhere below, as if a knuckle had brushed wood and then stopped. My pulse moved into my throat. I forced myself to breathe through my nose, slow and controlled, the way my therapist had taught me back when I'd first moved into this place, and I couldn't sleep because every nighttime noise sounded like an intruder. Maya, I said, trying to sound normal, are you still in your car? Yes, I'm 2 minutes away. Come. I'm coming, she said, and the engine note shifted, the phone picking up the rumble as she pulled off. I walked to the top of the stairs. The banister was cool beneath my palm. The downstairs hallway was dim, lit only by the faint spill from the streetlight filtering through the frosted glass beside the front door. I couldn't see the whole entryway from here. The angle cut off the bottom step. I listened. Nothing. Just the house. Tick, groan, distant gull. Somewhere far off a dog barking once and stopping. My thumb hovered over my phone screen. 911. That felt like a ridiculous overreaction. Hi, yes, my security camera caught me leaving my house, but I didn't. They'd send someone eventually, maybe. Or they'd tell me to call the non-emergency line and file a report that would go nowhere. But I could also go downstairs and check the lock, check the cameras again, make sure the door was still bolted, make sure I wasn't letting my mind turn a glitch into something bigger. Or I could stay up here, wait for Maya, and not move until I had another set of eyes in the house. Another creak, this one unmistakably from the first floor. A slow, deliberate shifting sound, like someone adjusting their weight in a hallway. My breath came shorter. The air smelled faintly of warm cereal and dust, and the lemon cleaner I'd used on the counters. And suddenly, those normal smells felt wrong, like props in someone else's set. I backed away from the stairwell, then stopped, caught between 2 instincts. Go look and don't go look. Maya's voice came through the phone, slightly breathless now, punctuated by the sound of her car's tires on wet road. I'm almost there. Stay upstairs. I'm trying, I said, and my voice cracked on the last word. Another choice pressed in, immediate and practical. I could barricade myself in the office with my desk chair and wait for her and maybe the police if we decided to call. Or I could go down right now, before whatever was making those sounds got any closer, and make sure my front door was still locked, my cameras still recording, and I wasn't about to become the kind of story people tell about a quiet street and a house where something went wrong. I stared at the dark gap of the stairwell and held my keys hard enough that the grooves bit into my skin. Tell me what you want me to do, Maya said. For a second, I couldn't decide whether the right answer was come inside or call someone or turn around and don't come here at all. Because whatever was happening in my house had already reached past the simple comfort of glitch. It was asking me to choose how much I trusted my own senses over a piece of video that insisted I'd done something I knew I hadn't. And downstairs, in the quiet, something shifted again, small, controlled, like it didn't want to be heard. I decided to go downstairs. It wasn't bravery. It was irritation, the kind that comes from being told by a machine, by your own house, that you don't know your own life. Waiting upstairs felt like agreeing with the camera, like admitting it knew me better than I knew myself. Maya, I'm going to check the door, I said. No, you're not, she said immediately. I'm literally turning onto your street. I hear something moving down there, then stay where you are. Another faint sound drifted up the stairwell, a scuff, rubber on wood. Slow. Careful, whoever or whatever was down there didn't sound lost. It sounded like it knew where it was going. I can't just stand here, I said. My voice was steadier than I felt. If someone's inside, I need to know now, not when they're halfway up the stairs. There was a beat of silence on the line, filled with the hiss of tires as Maya pulled over. Okay, she said finally. Okay, I'm parked outside, front of your house, porch lights on. That hit me harder than the noises had. The porch lights on. I asked. Yes, I hadn't turned it on. I was sure of that. I hated leaving it on before dark. It drew bugs, smeared the glass with moth dust. In the video, the light had already been on when I walked out. I took the stairs down slowly, each step deliberate. The banister creaked under my hand. The smell changed as I descended, cooler air, faint dampness from the old wood near the front door. My pulse was loud enough that I wondered if someone downstairs could hear it. Doors closed, Maya said. From here, it looks closed. Is it locked? She paused. I can't tell from the sidewalk. I reached the bottom step and stopped. The entryway was just as I'd left it. Shoes lined up badly on the mat, mail on the console table, the small crack in the plaster near the ceiling that I kept meaning to patch. Nothing was overturned. Nothing screamed someone has been here. But the porch light shining through the frosted glass cast a brighter glow than usual, close enough to see the faint outline of someone standing outside if there were someone standing there. Don't open it yet, Maya said. Let me come up. I want to check the lock, I said, and then I was already doing it, my hand moving on instinct. The deadbolt was turned, locked. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. It's locked. Good, she said. That's good. But I twisted the knob anyway. It didn't budge. The sound came again then, right behind me this time. A soft exhale. Human, too controlled to be a house settling. I spun around. The living room was empty. Maya, I whispered. What? I heard breathing. From where? Behind me, living room. Silence on the line, then the faint click of her car door opening. I'm coming up to the porch. Stay where you are. Do not go exploring. I I didn't answer because my attention had snagged on something small and wrong. The mail pile on the console table. One envelope was out of place. I was meticulous about that stack in a way that embarrassed me. Bills on the bottom, junk mail on top. Anything important set aside. The envelope now sitting on top was one I distinctly remembered putting underneath, a thick white one from my insurance company, unopened because I didn't want to deal with it yet. It hadn't fallen. It had been moved. I reached out, touched it. The paper was warm, like it had been handled recently. The breathing sound came again, closer, then stopped abruptly. "Who's there?" I said, louder than I meant to. Nothing answered. "Maya, call the police," I said. "I already am," she replied, and I could hear the edge in her voice now, the shift from concerned friend to someone taking control. "Non-emergency or emergency?" "Emergency," I said. "Someone's inside." The living room camera sat on the corner shelf, its small blue light glowing steadily. Recording. Watching. Suddenly hated it. Hated the idea that whatever was happening was being flattened into silent video while my body shook with adrenaline. "Tell them to hurry," I said. "I am," she said. "They're dispatching." A shadow moved at the far end of the hallway. Not fast, not darting. A slow lean into view, then back out again, like someone checking whether they'd been seen. My mouth went dry. "Maya," I said, "there's someone here." "I'm at your door," she said. "I can see inside through the glass. I don't see anyone." "That doesn't mean," the front door rattled. Once. Twice. Someone tried the handle from the outside. I stared at it, disbelief cutting through fear in a sharp, nauseating wave. "Someone else at the door," I said stupidly. "That's me," Maya said. "I'm trying to get in." "No," I said. "No, you're on the phone with me." There was a long, horrible pause. "Then who just tried your door?" she asked. The handle turned again, harder this time. The deadbolt held. I backed away until my shoulders hit the wall, eyes flicking between the door and the dark hallway. My mind raced through possibilities, none of them good. 2 people, one inside and one outside. Someone wearing my clothes to confuse things. Someone with my face on camera. "Maya," I said, "step back from the door." "I already did," she said, and her voice was tight now. "I'm standing by my car. The porch is empty." The handle stopped moving. Then the porch light went off. The house plunged into relative darkness, the frosted glass turning from pale white to a dull gray. I could hear Maya breathing hard on the phone, the sound of her shoes on concrete as she moved. "I didn't touch the switch," I said, because it felt important to say it out loud. "I know," she said. "Okay, police are 3 minutes out. Stay inside. Lock yourself somewhere. The office upstairs. No lock. The bathroom had a flimsy one that stuck sometimes. The bedroom, also no lock." Another sound from the hallway. A footstep, unmistakable now, heel to toe on hardwood. I grabbed the nearest thing with weight, a ceramic umbrella stand by the door, and held it like a club, my arms already aching. I hated that this was happening in my own house, hated how quickly I'd gone from rational explanations to pure animal readiness. The living room camera chirped softly, a notification sound from the app on my phone. Another motion alert. I glanced down without meaning to. Motion detected, front door, live view available. Against every instinct, I tapped it. The porch feed filled the screen. The porch light was off, but the street light across the road gave enough illumination to see. Someone stood at my front door, wearing my hoodie, facing the camera, my face. "Maya," I said hoarsely. "What?" "They're on the porch, there," I couldn't finish. On the screen, the person smiled, not wide, just enough to lift one corner of their mouth. Then they raised a hand and knocked. From inside the house, I heard the knock echo through the door, solid, deliberate, 3 firm taps. At the same time, behind me in the hallway, something shifted its weight and took a step closer. I didn't open the door. That felt like the only smart decision I'd made all night, and it came less from strategy than paralysis. My feet were glued to the hardwood, my grip whitening around the ceramic umbrella stand. The knock echoed in the small entryway, the sound bouncing up the stairwell and into rooms that suddenly felt too open, too exposed. "Maya," I whispered. "They're still there. I see them," she said, and there was something strained in her voice now, something that hadn't been there before. "They're standing just to the left of the door. I can see the shoulder through the glass when they move." On my phone screen, the porch feed showed the figure perfectly centered again. Same hoodie, same face, same tired slouch. They stood close enough that the camera slightly distorted their features, stretching the edges in a way I knew was just lens warping. But my stomach didn't care about optics. Another knock. Louder. "Open the door," the person outside said, my voice, my cadence, even the slight rasp I get when I'm nervous. I flinched hard enough that the umbrella stand knocked into the wall with a dull crack. "That's not funny," Maya snapped, and then louder toward the porch, back away from the door. "Police are on the way." On the porch feed, the figure's eyes flicked to the side toward Maya's car, I assumed, and then back to the camera. Their mouth twitched. "Who's that?" they asked. "Why is she here?" The sound of a footstep behind me made my whole body jolt. I spun, heart hammering, the stand raised. The hallway was empty again, shadows pooling at the edges where the overhead light didn't quite reach. For a split second, my brain filled it in, imagined a shape pulling back into the darkness. But when I forced myself to breathe and look properly, there was nothing. "Maya," I said, my voice shaking now. "I think there's someone inside too." "I know," she said. "Okay, attempt one. Can you get upstairs and barricade? Bathroom, maybe." The bathroom was halfway up the stairs on the right. Narrow door, cheap lock. It stuck, but it existed. I nodded even though she couldn't see me. I moved slowly, backing toward the stairs, never taking my eyes off the front door. The figure outside watched me through the camera, their head tilting as if curious. The misalignment between what I saw on the screen and what I could see through the frosted glass made my head swim. Halfway up the stairs, my foot hit something soft. I stumbled, caught myself on the railing, and looked down. A hoodie lay crumpled on the step. My hoodie. Not the one I was wearing, the other one, older gray. The one I used for painting and yard work. I hadn't worn it in weeks. I was sure of that. "Maya," I said, my mouth dry. There's clothes on the stairs." "What kind of clothes?" "My hoodie, the gray one." Could that have been there before?" "No." The answer came out sharp, immediate. I would have remembered. My foot brushed it again, and something clinked softly inside the fabric. I crouched despite myself, every nerve screaming at me not to take my eyes off the door. I reached out and patted the pocket. Keys. I pulled them out with shaking fingers. 3 keys and a chipped plastic fob for the back gate. My keys. The ones that were supposed to be on the hook upstairs. For a moment, the fear spiked so high it went hollow, like I'd been punched in the gut. Then my brain latched onto the detail and refused to let go. "Maya," I said, "my keys are on the stairs." "What?" "The same set. Gate fob and all." That's okay. That's important. That means someone had access, I said, at some point. Okay, she said again, grounding herself. Okay, that explains the lock. That explains inside access. Another knock boomed through the house, harder now. The figure outside leaned closer to the camera, their face filling the frame. Come on, they said. You're making this worse. The breathing sound came again from the hallway behind me, longer this time, unmistakably human. I bolted the rest of the way up the stairs, my legs burning, and slammed myself into the bathroom. The door closed with a hollow thud. The lock stuck, just like it always did. Don't do this to me, I muttered, fumbling with it, heart pounding in my ears. It finally slid into place with a brittle click. I sagged against the door, chest heaving, and slid down until I was sitting on the cold tile floor. The bathroom smelled faintly of mildew, and the eucalyptus soap I'd bought because it was supposed to be calming. Attempt 1 had got me a locked door and a new problem. Maya, I whispered, I'm in the bathroom. Locked. Good, she said. Police are a minute out. Attempt 2, can you get out a window, bathroom window? I twisted, craning my neck. The bathroom window was small and frosted, set high in the wall. It looked out over the side yard and the neighbor's fence. I stood on the toilet lid and pushed it open. Cool air rushed in, carrying the smell of wet leaves and engine exhaust. For a moment, relief washed through me. Then the window stuck halfway. I pushed harder. The frame groaned but didn't move. Outside, a shape shifted into view. My breath hitched. But then I focused, really looked. It wasn't a person. It was the neighbor's satellite dish, mounted low and catching the light at a strange angle. Movement had been the wind rocking the fence vine, its leaves slapping softly against metal. My knees almost gave out with relief. False alarm, I said shakily. Just the dish. Wind. Okay, Maya said. That's okay, that's good. I tried to laugh, but it came out thin. I shoved at the window again. It refused to budge. From downstairs, the knock came again. 3 slow taps, then, from just outside the bathroom door, I heard a voice, my voice. You locked the bathroom, it said mildly. That's new. I froze. The doorknob turned, slowly, carefully, testing the lock. I scrambled back, slipping on the tile and slamming my elbow into the sink. Pain shot up my arm, sharp and bright, but it barely registered compared to the sound of the knob jiggling again. Maya, I gasped. They're upstairs. I'm at the front, she said, her voice tight with fear now. I can see one on the porch. They haven't moved. Then there are 2, I said. The knob stopped. Footsteps retreated down the hall. For a split second, hope flared. Maybe they'd given up. Maybe they'd gone back downstairs. Then my phone buzzed again with a notification. Motion detected. Bathroom hallway. Live view available. I stared at the screen, my reflection ghosted over it. The camera outside the bathroom door, one I'd installed after a break-in down the street last year, showed the hallway clearly. The feed flickered, then steadied. The hallway was empty. No, I whispered. No. From downstairs, I heard the front door unlock. The sound was unmistakable, the deadbolt turning, smooth and practiced. Maya, I said, my voice breaking. They're unlocking the door. I'm right here, she said, panic creeping in. I don't see anyone touching it. The door opened anyway. Cool air rushed into the house, carrying street noise and the distant wail of a siren too far away. The porch feed showed the figure stepping inside. The hallway feed upstairs showed nothing. I was trapped between feeds that disagreed about reality. locked in a bathroom with no exit and keys that had already betrayed me. The bathroom door rattled once, as if someone had bumped it from the outside. Then again, harder. I pressed my back to the tub, clutching my injured elbow, and realized with a sick clarity that even if the police arrived in seconds, I had nowhere left to go. Retreat was no longer an option. The bathroom door bowed inward with the next hit. Not a smash. Not yet. Testing shove measured, like someone gauging cheap wood and cheaper hinges. I scrambled to my feet, adrenaline flattening everything else. The lock rattled, held, rattled again. My elbow screamed when I put weight on it, a hot, nauseating pain that made my vision flicker at the edges. "Maya," I said into the phone, keeping my voice low. "They're at the bathroom." "I hear it," she said. Wind rushed across her mic as she moved. "I'm on the sidewalk. I can hear thumping through the door. Police are another impact." Harder, the door frame cracked with a sharp, splintering sound. A thin line of light appeared where the latch met the frame. I looked around wildly. The bathroom was a dead end. Tub, sink, toilet, towel rack screwed into drywall. No weapon, no exit. The camera notification chimed again. I didn't look at it. "Hey," a voice said from the other side of the door. "Calm, reasonable, mine. You're making this dangerous. Open the door." I pressed my back against the tub and slid down, breathing through my teeth. "Go to hell," a pause. I imagined them smiling, adjusting their grip, switching tactics. From downstairs, something clattered metal on tile. The sound of the umbrella stand I'd dropped earlier being nudged aside. Footsteps. Real ones, close. "Maya," I whispered. "If anything happens, don't," she said sharply. "Don't do that. Listen to me." The porch guy just moved. I heard her footsteps crunching on gravel as she repositioned. The bathroom door shuttered again. A shoulder hit it this time. The crack widened. Wood fibers peeled, exposing pale, raw grain. I grabbed the towel rack and yanked. It tore free with a shriek of metal, sending me sprawling. I landed hard on my injured elbow and bit back a scream. The rack bent in my hands, but it was something heavy, awkward. The lock gave. The door swung inward halfway, catching on the warped frame. A face appeared in the gap. My face, close enough that I could see details the camera never caught. The faint scar on the chin that wasn't mine, the eyebrows a shade too straight. The skin looked wrong up close, not unreal, just rehearsed, like a mask learned over time. "You really should have stayed upstairs," he said quietly. I swung the towel rack with everything I had. It connected with his shoulder, a dull, meaty thud that vibrated up my arms. He grunted, more surprised than hurt, and the door burst the rest of the way open as he stumbled back. I didn't wait. I ran. The hallway blurred as I tore past the camera, past the bedroom door, down the stairs two at a time. My foot slipped on the last step, and I went down hard, catching myself on the wall, stars exploding behind my eyes. From the front door, I heard Maya shout my name. The porch door was open. The other one, the porch one, stood just inside the threshold, framed by streetlight and open air. Same hoodie, same posture. He turned as I skidded into view. For a split second, the world stalled. Two versions of the same man facing each other across the entryway, both breathing hard, both real. "Back up," Maya yelled from outside. The porch guy lunged for the door. I slammed my shoulder into him. We crashed into the console table. Mail exploded everywhere. The insurance envelope tore open, papers skittering across the floor. He smelled like my soap. That eucalyptus note. It hit me hard, intimate, and wrong. We grappled clumsily, two untrained bodies colliding in a space too small. He was stronger than he looked, or maybe just more prepared. His knee drove into my thigh. I gasped and lost balance. Behind us, the bathroom intruder barreled down the stairs. "Police," Maya screamed, and this time it wasn't a warning. It was a lie she was throwing like a weapon. The porch guy hesitated, just a fraction. I used it. I grabbed the open insurance papers off the floor and shoved them into his face, blinding him long enough to wrench free. It was stupid, desperate. It worked. I staggered backward, pain flaring everywhere at once. The sound of a siren cut through the night, close now. Real. The porch guy bolted, not toward the street, toward the back of the house. "Gate," I shouted hoarsely. "He's going for the back gate." Maya moved fast. I heard her footsteps pound around the side of the house. The bathroom intruder skidded to a stop at the bottom of the stairs, eyes flicking between me and the open front door. Calculation replaced confidence. I raised the bent towel rack again, hands shaking. "Don't," I said. My voice barely sounded like mine anymore. "It's over," he smiled. Smaller now, tight. "Wasn't supposed to be," he said. Then he turned and ran for the back hallway. I chased him. The back door stood ajar, the latch scraped and scarred. Cool air poured in, along with Maya's shout, and the clang of the gate slamming shut. A crash sounded from the yard, a body hitting fence. A curse, not my voice this time, higher, panicked. The bathroom intruder burst into the yard and skidded to a stop when he saw Maya standing there, phone raised, flashlight blazing in his face. Red and blue light washed over the fence as two patrol cars screeched to a halt out front. He froze, hands up, breathing hard. It ended not with a fight, but with compliance, with wrists turned, with the sound of cuffs clicking closed. I sank onto the back step, legs giving out at last. My elbow throbbed in deep, sick waves. Blood dripped from somewhere my head, I realized distantly when I touched it and my fingers came away red. Police voices filled the yard, orders, radios crackling. Names asked, names answered. They took the men away separately. Only later, much later, wrapped in a blanket in the back of an ambulance, did it come together. Two men, brothers, similar build, similar face. One had spent months learning my routines, watching from across the street, copying my walk, my voice, the way I patted my pockets. They decloned my keys from a briefcase I carried into a cafe weeks ago, slipped the copy back before I noticed, installed a cheap Wi-Fi jammer to scramble camera feeds at critical moments, create overlaps, confusion. The me on camera was bait, a distraction, an alibi being built in reverse. They weren't there to hurt me. They were there to use me. Identity theft, insurance fraud, a staged disappearance that would have started tonight. They underestimated one thing: how hard it is to disappear someone who's still fighting. The cost came later, in quieter ways. My elbow needed stitches. My head throbbed for days. Sleep didn't come easily after that, not with every creak sounding like footsteps, not with every reflection asking if it was really me. The cameras still work. I check them less now. But sometimes, when I scrub back through the footage, I still catch myself flinching, waiting to see myself walk out the door again. The hospital discharged me just after 2 a.m, when the waiting room had thinned to a few slumped figures, and a janitor pushing a cart that smelled faintly of bleach and burnt coffee. 6 stitches in my elbow. A mild concussion. Instructions I nodded through even though I knew I wouldn't remember half of them. Maya drove me home. Neither of us talked much. The city looked different at that hour, emptier, flatter, like a stage after the actors have gone and someone forgot to turn off the lights. Every red signal felt personal. Every parked car made my shoulders tighten. At the house, the porch light was off. I stood there longer than necessary, keys heavy in my pocket, listening to the quiet. The police had left tape on the back gate and a report number on the kitchen counter. Someone had boarded up the bathroom door where the frame had split. It all looked temporary in the way disasters do once the adrenaline drains away. "You don't have to go in tonight," Maya said. "You can stay with me." I almost said yes. The word hovered on my tongue, soft and tempting. But the house was mine. What they'd tried to do only worked if I let the place become something else. Evidence, a crime scene, a story other people told about me. "I need to," I said. She nodded, not arguing. She walked me inside and stayed until I'd eaten something small and swallowed 2 painkillers with shaking hands. When she finally left, she hugged me too tightly, like she was trying to imprint my shape. "Call me if you hear anything," she said. I almost laughed. Sleep came in pieces. I woke every hour to the sound of the radiator, the wind, my own breathing too loud in the dark. Once, I woke convinced someone was standing at the foot of the bed. It took a long minute to realize it was just the shadow of the chair, clothes draped over it the wrong way. In the morning, the house looked ordinary again. Sunlight caught the dust in the air. The insurance papers lay stacked neatly on the counter, dried and smoothed by a police tech who'd worn gloves and apologized for the mess. The cameras blinked their steady blue lights. They still worked. The detective came by late morning, a man with tired eyes and a notebook that already looked too full. He walked me through what they knew. The brothers had been running variations of the same scam in 3 cities. Impersonation, surveillance, social engineering. They didn't need to be me forever, just long enough to create a paper trail that said I'd left, vanished, abandoned my life. "They got sloppy," he said, not unkindly. "Or unlucky." I thought about the moment at the bathroom door, the confidence that had cracked just enough for me to slip away. "They knew me," I said, "too well." He didn't argue. After he left, I sat at my desk and opened the security app. Every clip from the night before had been tagged and copied. Evidence, time-stamped, annotated. I watched myself leave the house again at 6:41 p.m., watched the door close behind me. Knowing how it worked didn't erase the feeling in my chest when I saw it. My brain still flinched, still tried to reconcile memory with image. I deleted the clip. Not all of them, just that one. Over the next few days, life crept back in. Emails, bills, a text from Maya every morning that said "still you," and made me smile despite myself. I changed my locks, canceled cards, sat with a fraud specialist who spoke gently and assumed I'd need things explained twice. I did. The house never quite went back to being neutral. I noticed things now, how sound carried through the vents, how reflections shifted in the hallway mirror depending on the time of day. I stopped wearing hoodies. I didn't know when that happened exactly. Just one morning, I reached for one and felt a sudden, sharp resistance. The camera stayed on. I told myself it was practical, sensible. One afternoon, about a week later, I was scrubbing dried paint off my hands in the kitchen sink when my phone buzzed. Motion detected, front door. I froze. Then I checked the live view and laughed at myself. It was the mail carrier, hat pulled low, already turning away. Still, my hands shook as I dried them. The last loose end came quietly. A letter from the police department, formal and thin, explaining that one of the brothers had tried to give a statement and then withdrawn it. No trial date yet, no guarantees, just process. At the bottom, a handwritten note from the detective. You did everything right. I stared at it for a long time. Some nights, I replay conversations in my head. Not the fight, not the shouting, but the calm moments. The way he'd said, "You locked the bathroom." That's new, like he'd been disappointed, like I'd broken character. The cameras don't show anything unusual anymore. No doubled images, no glitches, just me moving through rooms, leaving and returning in ways that match my memory. Mostly. Once, very late, I scrubbed back through an old clip to check a timestamp. The living room was empty. The coat rack leaned. The mail sat on the table. For a fraction of a second, so brief I can't be sure it wasn't compression artifact or fatigue, I thought I saw a shape in the hallway mirror behind the stairs. A sliver of movement where there shouldn't have been any. I closed the app without rewinding. The house settled around me. The radiator ticked. A gull cried somewhere over the river. I locked the door, checked it twice. Then I went upstairs, carrying my phone in my hand, and told myself carefully, deliberately, that this time when the cameras said I was home, they were right. That's it for this nightmare. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, subscribe to Mia Horror Stories, and turn on notifications. It really helps keep the stories alive. And don't stop here. Dive into another one of our videos and keep the fear going.